So I'll start fairly far back in time. I'll go to 1066. Battle of Hastings, and the Normans, which were the Norsemen, and William the Conqueror and his henchmen, because they were all men, came and basically stole the entire country and divided it up between themselves. So he sort of handed off bits and pieces to mates of his. Huge swathes of land. A large part of the land in this country is still in the hands of descendants of people that came over with William the Conqueror. Things do not move rapidly in this country. That's the space and time that we're in. And we had other episodes through time which had a really big impact upon the land. One of which was the Enclosures Act, which was, there were several Enclosures Acts, but the idea was previously there was what was known as the Commons. So there was the areas where people that didn't belong to anyone, where people could just wander in and hunt something or pick something. And that very sort of gradually and then rapidly got fenced off and basically grabbed. So what you have in this situation, in this country, is a situation where a very small part of the population owns a very large percentage of the land. What this leads to is their mindset, their view of what land should be and how it should be used is imposed upon the land. So what you find is vast deer stalking estates, which is places that are devoted purely to hunting deer. What that means is all the predators, such as bears and wolves, that were on that land have been exterminated. So the last wolf was killed in 17 something. My mind's not like crystal clear, razor sharp, so some of these little links are a bit vague, but you can check them all out if you wish. What we have is a situation where over centuries, this accumulation of land and this use of land for things like another use of land is pheasant hunting, which is, when you look at any one of these things, they are quite insane. So pheasant hunting, what you do is you basically strip out any bird or creature that will threaten a very stupid bird from another country that flies at just above head height in a really straight line. This is so that wealthy people can get their £30,000 Purdy shotguns and go poof, poof, and blast these stupid birds out of the sky, after local people who can't find better employment have walked along flapping things and scaring the birds up in the air. It's not really hunting as we would think of it, as indigenous people would think of it. It's just wholesale slaughter. So there's this vast scale misuse of the land purely by the aristocracy, purely from that perspective. There is good news here, by the way. I'm starting with like the shit, why are we doing this? And then you zoom out further and you go to sort of things like World War I, World War II. We went massively into food production and armaments production. So in World War I we needed props for the trenches, so we cut down vast amounts of ancient woodland. World War II we needed even more wood, and we needed stuff that blew up, nitrates and phosphorus. So if you see a terrorist, you see a terrorist attack like the Oklahoma bombing when that guy, what's his name, Timothy McVeigh, they use fertilizer. Fertilizer explodes. So when they got to the end of the wars, they went, oh, got all these armaments, all these chemicals, oh, hang on, if you sprinkle them on the ground, things grow really quickly and we can sell them and we can grow more food. A lot of this stuff was well intentioned, it's just where it's led to. So in many ways what looked like progress was actually, in a long-term sense, harmful. And when you look at the forces of short-term thinking and greed combined, you see chemical agriculture, you see industrial agriculture. If you look at Leela, Osho Leela, so we'll go niche. Osho Leela is a niche. A niche is basically a place where there is an interaction between different types of conditions. So the little crack at the bottom of that planter there, at the top of those steps, in there is a niche. And if we're not going to, but if we wanted to, we could lift that thing up. And you'd find all kinds of creatures there that you wouldn't find here or there. So there's variety, there's an endless variety. And nature is always seeking out niches and flourishing in niches. What we've done as humanity is basically tried to exterminate and destroy and wipe out all the niches. We've said, this is a field, it should be for growing maize. So we'll go in, we'll glyphosate it, we'll kill everything that grows, we'll plough the shit out of it, kill all the worms, and then we'll plant loads and loads of one crop, which we will then fertilise and put fungicide on and insecticide on. I won't bore you with the results, but my most popular number is 97%. 97% of hedgehogs are gone, 97% of nightingales are gone, and so on and so on and so on. It's really quite unpleasant. Yeah, microclimates. Yeah, another word for a niche. And microclimates are extraordinary. They're everywhere. So what we've got here, we've got 18 acres, which is a niche containing billions of niches, literally billions. Every roofing tile, every blade of grass, every bit under a hedge is a niche. And nature is retreating into those niches. And once those niches get too far apart, creatures can't breed, they can't, the future ends. When you look at where we are, and you look at the countryside, a lot of people come down to Leela and say, oh, I'm going to Leela, fantastic, wonderful, I want to come here because it's a niche. It's a niche in terms of the spirituality, the psychology, the emotional integrity. What happens here is a very special niche in humanity and in space. And people often come and go, oh, Dorset, it's so green, thank God I'm out of London, it's so green. But what you're seeing that's green is actually not very healthy. You have masses of industrial agriculture. So we're surrounded by industrial agriculture. The streams here are like filled with silt, and I'm a fly fisherman, so I do know the ecosystem of streams and rivers. You've probably read about the volume of sewage that gets dumped into rivers because basically multinational companies go, oh, Britain's privatising their water, we'll buy all the water companies up. Really expensive to put in new sewage treatment plants and all that. Let's just not bother. Let's just pump that shit into the rivers and the sea because we need to make profits. It's so much of humanity is greed, short-termism. We've got this niche, Osho Leela, and it's a niche because it's here, it does its thing, it's a very special place, and people sustain the niche by basically, long story short, bringing money. So this place flourishes. I'll go back just a bit in time again. Slavery. It's all like all positive topics today, isn't it? Slavery. So we started it. The British. We started it. We excelled at it. We did really, really well, and we made incredible amounts of money. Incredible amount. I mean, just staggering sums of wealth. Plus, we robbed India. So we had all this money coming into the hands of the descendants of the people that came over with William the Conqueror. And they had this other specific mindset about land. What they wanted was they wanted their friends to show up in a carriage in a much, much bigger driveway than this. They were down a tree-lined driveway. And just like in the films we see, you know, the Downton Abbeys and all that, they wanted their friends to step out of their carriage and look at a landscape that sent a very specific message. What they were saying was, I am so wealthy, I have so much money that I don't need to grow food like the peasants do. Because every quote-unquote peasant that had a piece of land would use every inch to grow food. We would plant fruit trees, we would grow vegetables, we would grow flowers, we would grow medicines, we would grow herbs. So a peasant would have a small house filled with plants, trees, fruit, niches, food, because they're peasants. They would get their hands dirty. If someone was wealthy, what they said was, I don't have to grow a kumquat. I don't have to grow potatoes. And I'm going to prove that by levelling everything and mowing the shit out of it. So it looks like a green carpet. The middle classes, have you ever seen the sketch of John Cleese, Ronnie Barker, Ronnie Corbett? Yeah, the middle classes have this love-hate relationship with the aristos. It's like, those bastards have stolen everything, that's why I worked so hard, but I wish I was one. So what the middle classes started doing was, they looked at the big posh places and they went, big lawns and flower borders. I haven't got that much land, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up all my fruit trees, I'm going to dig up all the potatoes and get rid of them, I'm going to put in a lawn and I'm going to keep it really flat and green and square, and then I'm going to have a few flowers down the edge, just like the rich people do. And look, I don't need to grow food either. I'm like that. So fast forward to 20 something years ago, the first time I came to Osho Leela. We don't know much about this place. We do know that this was part of the forest of Gillingham, which was vast, huge forest. The only remnant I know is Silton. Teresa told me about the oak at Silton, that massive old oak. When I got here, the orchard there, the small orchard, was an absolute disaster. It hadn't been touched in about 25 years. The other orchard, further down, had been planted, but it was planted according to geomantic principles, which is lovely, but it wasn't planted according to how to make trees grow. So the trees weren't staked and they weren't mulched, so they really struggled the first few years. The woodlands all around here were planted about 25 years ago, so most of the trees you see are about 25 years old. We started to sort of look at how else this place could be, so it's becoming in a way more of a village. This place is evolving organically and naturally. Part of that evolution is an ongoing, unfolding project to bring more biodiversity to Leela. This is an incredible balancing act because it is still a niche that attracts people that come here, that stay here, that live here. How do you balance all of the wishes of all of the needs, first of all, of the humans, the needs of the animals, the wishes of the people, and so on and so forth? It's a work in progress. It's imperfect. Communication is key. And I think sometimes when people know why, they can put up with a bit of inconvenience. If they don't know why, if something's just like, oh, that's a mess, I don't like that, it's like, yeah, it's a mess because something lives there. Do you want to kill it? Oh, actually no, given those circumstances, let's leave a little bit of a mess for a little while.